Okay, so this is an in-depth video on how to turn friendship into friendship which is heated up. So when you talk to her, again, remember that concept of boiling the frog. We increase the temperature and do it slowly with flirting over text. And it's a very useful skill. It will help you with her, and hopefully you will never need to use it with anyone again but her. But you will have that skill if you ever need to flirt over text. Now, what you're going to hear right now used to be a paid course that people still purchase. But I decided to include it into this one. So the background will change and I will look slightly different because it was a year ago, but it's still very, very good. So it absolutely applies to this situation. This is specifically about flirting in text with your ex to heat up the situation to the point where you are like really vibing together, when you can say, let's meet for coffee, and she cannot resist. And when you meet her for coffee and you touch her, things will explode. This is what we're aiming for. And now I'm going to tell you exactly what to do.
Hi, welcome to the course about flirting with your ex. How to do it online and offline, so that from the level of now we're just friends, you go back to passionate communication. In many cases, the passion is already there. You just need to flip the switch on, and then you get to sexual connection, and we have a special course devoted to specifically using your sexual skill to impress her even further and make her more in love with you than ever, and that is very important. But in many cases, there is a lot of warmth and love which is hidden beyond all the hate and all the sorrow that she has accumulated towards you. But the actual flirting is required so that the romantic part comes out. And a lot of men, especially younger men, when their girlfriend or wife leaves them, their fear is that if they have a friendly connection with her, everything will stay in so-called friend zone. And by friend zone, they mean just friends. Oh, we're just friends. And men are usually afraid of that just friends situation because of all the articles from pickup artists that say, well, if you're just friends, that means that you're in the friend zone, and that's a very bad thing, and she will never consider you material for a stronger romantic relationship, and you're doomed and all that. I don't know, maybe in dating they are correct, but when it comes to getting your girlfriend back, just friends is a very good thing. It's a step between having all the conflicts and her being defensive against you and doing everything that you cannot get through to her, and trying to avoid you, and being completely romantically open to you. So it's right a step between that. That's a step that allows her to be open up for you, but not still be romantically engaged. In order to go from this just friends mode to actually strong romantic connection that we need in order for her to fall back in love with you, flirting is the right thing. So what is flirting? Flirting is when you use language, sometimes voice tone and facial expression, mostly language, to ignite romantic and sexual passion with her. And you do it through two different ways, depending on the stage at which you're interacting with her. Stage one, you do it implicitly, so you imply it. You kind of mean it, but you say other things. So for example, I'll show you an example of that. Let's say she sends you a picture of her in the gym, but her friend is also there, and her friend is being cheeky, and the friend shows her tongue like, and you write to her, your friend has a nice tongue, but that's not the tongue I want to see, ... So what you're implying is that you want to see her tongue, and by that, of course, you cheekily implying something more sexual that involves the tongue, right? But nothing is said out loud. And she kind of registers it that you kind of mean it, but you really don't mean it. At the same time, you said that she is more attractive than her girlfriend, which is always a nice thing to say, especially if you don't say it directly, so she cannot defend against it, so it kind of slips past her guard and she just gets it inside of her. Second, you mentioned tongue and you mentioned something sexual, and yet you said nothing sexual at the same time. So it's kind of, you give those two messages. Nothing is happening, everything is happening. And third thing, in all of this situation, what you're implying that you're not interested in any woman, you're interested in her. Now that's the only direct thing you imply, and yet you don't say it directly. So this is the best kind of flirting for the beginning stage, which is meaning something but don't really say it out loud. So there is nothing to defend against. I mean, if she still has guard, oh my God, I'm not going to go back into this relationship, and she has all this guard up, things like that, they slip through that guard. Once your flirting is more intense, you can say things which are more intense. So for example, she sends you the same picture. There's her friend showing her tongue. And you say, too bad it's your friend's tongue. I'd rather see yours. In fact, I'd rather feel yours. Now that's a very direct, sexual, strong, like passionate thing. When do you start doing those things? Later in the course, I will show you how to escalate to the moment that if she reads something like this, she responds with more flirting on the same very passionate sexual level, to the point that she will show you not only her tongue, but more things. You will get some photos, most likely. Of course, I'm talking on messengers. But the same thing works offline, absolutely. So the communication I'm going to share, I will assume that during the fact that we live in the age that we live in, most likely we'll be communicating on some sort of messenger. But all of the things I'm going to share with you can also be used just in real life, person-to-person communication. When I was getting my girlfriend back, that was pre-messenger days. I mean, Skype was out there, but people didn't really use that a lot. So it was mostly used for professional communication. So we didn't use that a lot. And yet I used the same things for my situations that now I'm using to help my clients and tell them what to do. And it works just as well when they send each other messages. And the good thing about modern messaging, text is not the only thing. There is photos, there is voice messages where you can do a lot of things with the voice, because voice really works for women. And we will talk about how to use voice to really ignite certain things in your girlfriend. So we will mostly talk about this implicit kind of language. Now, most of us men are very direct. We either say something or not say something. Flirting is about meaning certain things, but not really saying them, but really meaning them. And the way it works is actually a very simple structure. It's a 3-step process. Step 1, you take what she gives you. Whether it's something that shares, oh, it's a nice morning and I'm going to the gym. Or it's a photo that she sends, hey, here I am somewhere. Or if she doesn't send you a photo, but she put it on her Instagram, you talk about that. Whatever she gives you, you give her back. And step 1 is how to make that about sexual and loving attraction between her and you. You just think it in your head. So for example, she goes to the gym and oh, I'm going to the gym and like that's my morning. The first thing that comes to your mind, oh, like your legs will be so toned. And if you would be at the later level of flirting that we're aiming to get to, that's just the thing that you would write. But we have step 2, which is very important. How to say that, but not say it directly, because if you say it directly too early, it will be met with resistance. But we don't need her resistance. We need her cooperation. So instead of saying directly, your legs will be, and glutes will be so toned, I'd like to see that, which would be a great thing to say later, but a horrible thing to say in the friends zone kind of thing. You think, how do I say it but not imply it? You can say, so usually the best way to imply it, you say it more general. So in this particular case, you would say, oh yeah, I like toned girls that go to the gym, especially their legs. And you send it. And here you implied her that you love the fact that she's going to the gym, but you don't really say about her. And she can even think, you talk about other women, and then you wait just a few seconds, and she might start typing something, and you send the next message, but just some girls, ... And you make some a big word, for example, big letters. And you can say, well, who are those some girls? And that's how a game starts. And you can continue this game by playing with her by not directly answering that she is that some girls, but just listing her characteristics. Well, I don't know, girls that are blonde, if she's blonde, or girls which are brunette, and you just do fun with her, but you don't say things directly. You see, it's not that hard. It's a very kind of a interesting balance where you, from one perspective, you say that she's attractive, but from another perspective, you don't say it directly. So let's summarize again. Step 1, you think how to take what she told you and respond to that as a sign of mutual sexual attraction. Step 2, you remake it as something which means what you wanted to say, but don't mean it directly. Usually by kind of mentioning less things. So instead of saying, I'd like to see your glutes after the gym when they're so toned, you say, I like girls who go to the gym. They have such healthy, juicy glutes, right? So you said the same thing, but you didn't. But you were more general. And third thing, that usually starts a game, and you start playing this game using the same rules. And the good thing about modern messaging is that you have those little smiley faces, and you can use them a lot, which will indicate that what you're doing is not serious, that you're creating this fun atmosphere, so she cannot be really offended. Now, she may test you in a flirty way. Why are you saying these things? And pretend to be offended. If you really say, oh my God, I'm sorry, I didn't mean it, you kind of lost the game. And you probably made more damage than you could make her, some progress with her. But instead of that, well, because it's fun and we're joking around, and you send her, a laughing cherry or something, she indicates that we're just having fun. In a sense, flirting is funny and joking non-serious communication that implies sexual tension, but indirectly. So this is what we're doing. This is a useful tool. And if you listening to this point think, yeah, it sounds like a useful tool, but what if I do it wrong? I mean, it's her, and I want to get her back. And what if I make mistakes and what I screw up? I mean, this is my chance. It could be my only chance with the girl I want. Like, I want more than anything to be with her. And you ask me to flirt like this. I didn't do that before. It will look strange. It would look weird. Oh my God. Don't freak out. You know how to really screw up anything is try anything without practice. If you try anything without practice, the chances are you will screw up. If you practice before you try something, then you will not screw up. Then you will do everything right. And this is why it is crucial that you practice this. And the good thing about our life nowadays is that there is always a practice platform. You can join a dating website. First of all, you are technically single right now, so you can even use your own profile. But if you don't want to use your own profile, generate a face with artificial intelligence. There is some programs that will allow you to generate a face of somebody who doesn't exist. So instead of stealing someone's photo, you generate a photo that doesn't exist. Set a profile for yourself and practice with other girls that you don't feel such a strong connection. Where if you screw up with a girl you don't know from a face that doesn't exist and a name that doesn't exist, you will not suffer any consequences, but you will practice a lot. It's the same, let's say you needed to perform. Let's say you decided to play guitar and perform before a crowd. You will, of course, practice before performing. Same thing. Don't hesitate to go to dating sites, practice, and when you start getting good at it, then you can start doing those things with her. So how do you know if you're getting good at it or not? It's simple. If you flirt with different girls on dating websites and you keep getting more and more communication with them, that means you're going the right way. If you start your flirting but it ends up with her not responding, that means go to the next girl, try it a different way. How do you start it? You look at her dating profile and you use it with the same 3-step process that I just described. Step 1, you look at what she has in her profile and see what there can imply a sexual tension between her. And you formulate it directly. Like, for example, you like what you see up here, for example. But you cannot say it directly, it will be just rude. So how would you say that? You can say that by implying that, but not implying that at all. For example, I like girls who are really well-rounded, like yourself. I mean, that's a good thing. But remember, we are implying it's about her, but not about her. So we remove like yourself, and we just say, I like girls who are really well-rounded. And that's the start of a conversation, right? And if she responds, what do you mean by well-rounded? Well, I was looking about your photos, and that's the first thing that came up to mind. So you don't really answer her, well, like your chest, which is really well-rounded. That would be rude, and that would not be flirting, right? But instead of that, you say, well, I was looking at your photos, and that's the first thing that came to mind. You kind of mean her, but you don't really mean her, and you start playing, and again, you go through the 3-step process over and over again. And if it doesn't work, you change slightly, and when you feel like you're really good at this flirting, then you go to your desired woman of choice, desired girl of choice, and you start doing that with her. And specifically, it's much easier to do now when most of the communication is online, because you can practice and you have time to think about what to say. You can prepare certain things, you can copy paste them. And once you do it well in written form, it will be easier to do in verbal form when you need to get it very fast and you don't have time to think. That's why those dating sites are crucial for you to practice. Because when you're going to interact with her, it's going to have stronger effect. Now, bear in mind, of course, that with a new girl who has no defenses against her, it's going to be easier than with a woman who is secretly afraid to fall back in love with you again because she knows it's possible, right? So it will take more time, but be patient. Patience is a virtue. Even if you communicate like that with her, 3-4 three-step processes a day, but you do it for 2 weeks. In 2 weeks, it will be a completely different relationship, to the point that you can go to the second type of flirting, which is directly implying. So when she goes to the gym, you say, no, I'd like to see your glutes after that. Of course, only if you want to. Show them to me. You can say even things like that, but you have to go to that level. How do you know that you can go say things like that? Easy. She will start saying things like that. And that will be a sign that you can now, step 2 can be skipped. Whatever you thought, the sexual interaction, you can do it directly. You know, what I found is that with all the relationship advice that I can give, the most crucial thing, the most important thing, is one and only. What you can do when. Everything men do is appropriate. They just not do it at the appropriate times. So, for example, usually men start a relationship by sending an intimate photo to a girl that they don't know. That's a horrible thing to do. But it's completely appropriate thing to do if you just met a girl and you spoke to her online for 3 weeks and suddenly she asks for that photo and you send it. Whatever the things that most men do are appropriate just at different times. You have to prepare for that. We go in too fast. We want to get to from nothing to everything like in one step. But there is more steps to that. And flirting is that step between no romantic connection, no sexual passion, to strong sexual passion and strong romantic connection. It's like in-between step, where you mean those things, you imply them, but you hide between walls. And then those walls become thinner, and then you can finally do this again. As usual, with this course, with any course of mine, I want you to make a pause, so kind of take 15-minute break, and then listen to the whole course again. This time, you will already be familiar with the concept of what I'm telling you, because I know that a lot of things I told you are not something you heard before. But this time you will be fishing for specific steps you can do. And then start practicing on the dating sites. Take 4 or 5 days of doing that intensely. And after that, once you feel that you get very positive responses, start doing that with her. And you will see magic happen. And you will get closer and closer to her. And then you will see how easy it is from going from just friends to strong romantic and sexual passion through flirting, whether online or offline. Thank you so much for going through this course with me, and I'll see you on the next one.